Hello, Toolboxers. Welcome to episode number 295. It's going to be a real cool episode. So we're doing an interview with Angelo Paparelli, one of the most famous immigration lawyers who's been in the game a long time and set some standards and changes in the field, frankly. And he's made a big shift in his career. So we're going to talk about the changes he's doing right now in his new position and his new career path, along with just picking his brain on how life is as an immigration attorney for him and for a person in his position. So I think it'll be interesting for all of us to learn more about this and hear this kind of stuff. So definitely check that out. We always have a lot of good information, especially in our magazine, the Toolbox magazine. Check it out. Go to immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. There's a magazine link and you get a lot of information for there. It really helps you practice whether you're new or you've been practicing for 20 years or more. I want to thank one of our sponsors, the magazine, and our sponsor for the podcast right now, DrWise.com. You heard me talk about them before. DrWise.com is all-in-one form system that really helps support your practice and your team, not only with the forms, but also different management aspects. Check it out. Go to DrWise.com. Do a test run. See how you like it. Talk with them. I think you will enjoy it. Having said that, remember what we're talking about here, we're not going to go into law really, but it's not intended for individual legal guidance. What is intended for legal guidance is my course on marriage green cards, a Champions for Freedom course that takes you from A to Z of the marriage-based process, from adjustment of status, concept processing, basics of inadmissibility, and much more. If you want to learn about it, you're a new attorney in this field, or you want to have something to train your team on and not have to do yourself, we got recordings, we got private office hours that come with it where we talk about this stuff so you can get really good at what you're doing. Just email me at info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com and I'll give you more information about that. And if you haven't already, leave a 5-star review wherever you're watching this so other people know and they can support the program. Having said that, let's get the show started. Hey, Angelo, good to see you again. Thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
So, I mean, for those who might be new to learn about you, we have a podcast, and I'll find the number and put it in the show so they can catch up on your background. But I kind of want to jump into this one really quick because you have a new position, which is kind of a big deal, a big change in your life and career path that I wanted people to be aware of. It's just very interesting. So you talk about what your role was, and then now like what you're doing in your new position and your new change that you've accomplished.
Surely. I first of all, thank you for inviting me on this podcast. I'm honored to be participating. At my former firm, I was involved in a variety of matters. Some of the same kinds of activities are replicated at the new firm, but at the previous firm, I mostly was involved in guiding lawyers internally to prepare cases, and we would get into the nitty-gritty of the facts. But often, and this partly was a result of the pandemic and being away from the office, but often somebody else would file a notice of appearance, Form G28, often be listed on the cover letter as also involved in the matter. But in addition, I was a mentor to lawyers. I was a published author. I was involved in committee activities with the immigration bar, and I'm still involved in all of those activities. My focus is a little bit different, and I've done a blog post on it. Maybe you want to put that in the link where I explained what was happening, but I can do so right now. I've left the law firm at the end of April with my warm regards to everyone there and my expressions of appreciation, which I think were mutual, and I know were mutual. And I took a month off and spent it mostly with my wife in Paris to sort of recharge my batteries and perhaps and then beginning of June, I started with a startup law firm called Rialto Law US PLLC. And it is a startup in the sense that I was lawyer number 5. I'm a partner. But already, as of July 18th, we have 10 lawyers.
Wow.
And so it's a startup that is expected to grow rapidly. And I'll explain its uniqueness. Essentially, I have to go back to an event that occurred a little bit more than a year ago, and that was that PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, spun off and sold its uh, immigration, tax, and international or global mobility practice to a private equity firm. And they sold it for $2.2 billion. Uh, in the interim, there had been cooperation with PwC as we transition off of their systems and move on to our own freestanding systems. But what was formed out of that spinoff was an organization called the Alto Partners, and it is comprised of 6,000. Excuse me, I was just interrupted. Do you want me to start over again?
No, it's
Somebody
fine.
came and tried to call me.
It's okay.
Anyway, it is comprised of more than 6,000 professionals worldwide in offices in virtually every major city of the world. The organization, as I said, provides tax, mobility, and immigration services. And from Canada, a separate law firm, also in alliance with the Alto Partners, had been in PwC and was delivering immigration legal services for U.S. clients from Canada. And that organization had grown to 35 lawyers and approximately 200 plus professionals uh, providing U.S. immigration legal services from Canada. Uh, Clients have wanted an on-the-ground capability, a delivery system in the U.S., and so the decision was made that the Alto Law U.S. PLLC, where I'm a partner, would be formed, and that was formed at the end of February. And as I said, I joined in June. Now, my duties are interesting. They're consistent in large part with what I was doing before. I will have client involvement, but I will be mostly engaged in interacting with lawyers in our law firm to deliver US-based legal services to clients from really anywhere in the world, but predominantly from within the US. And I will also be involved as a thought leader, a publisher of articles, a presenter on various legal topics. So I will be doing essentially the same things as I was doing before, but it will be more in the nature of public-facing activities. I hope to attract legal talent to join the firm. So if any of your listeners are interested, we have a great opportunity here. And I probably will also attract corporate clients who may have heard of me from before or may be introduced to me as a result of this. But I'm still in the thick and thin of immigration practice, and it's focused primarily on employment-based immigration, pretty much all aspects of employment-based immigration and immigration compliance. I have a background that is broader than that includes asylum and naturalization and family-based immigration, and a while back, even some removal defense. Not doing that quite so much as before.
Oh, and so I mean, there's some three big questions I want to ask that we get into. This one's kind of shortest, which is you mentioned that this private equity purchased the PwC faction that dealt with these kind of matters. Is the law firm that you're a partner with now in the U.S. to the section that's in the law to avoid the non-lawyer partnership kind of thing? So you handle the legal matters here. Is that how it happened? Like they have a team that.
Well,
how does that work out?
It may be helpful to explain. Most state bar associations prohibit non-lawyer ownership of law firms, and so our law firm is owned by lawyers and not by any non-lawyer organization, person, or entity. And so we are operating independently, but the thing we do access is technology. And that was one of the major reasons I did this was that law firms, whether they're small firms, boutiques, or full service firms with an immigration practice, have always the challenge of multiple expectations from different practice groups and specialties for resources, and especially that as it pertains to evolving technology. And you've seen and I've seen the rapid evolution of technology in the immigration space. And because we are operating in alliance with the Alto partners, we can access their technology. And what the technology does is it provides in a single dashboard with a mobile app um, everything that an HR professional or a legal counsel would need to know from multiple perspectives of tax law, Social Security law, uh, uh, the HR elements of the practice, and immigration law. But it also provides a mobile app, so the information that is provided by the transferee, the assignee, the non-citizen who's coming from country A to country B, in our case, coming to the US, um, can provide information that is essentially holistic in nature. So if a tax professional needs to get information from the individual, and that information is relevant to their immigration case, when we open up the dashboard and when the corporate client, when the non-citizen assignee opens up their mobile app, they'll see pre-populated information so that we're not asking for the same information over and over again. Oftentimes when they're therefore people can feel frustrated that I gave you my passport number 3 separate times now. How many times do you need it?
So, I mean, this really comes into play into large volume kind of cases when you work with HR, big companies, mass number of H-1Bs or perm filings and the like. I'm guessing, right? Or like a blank mail.
That is the primary focus, but we deal with other companies and startups, and it will depend upon the given situation. But I think our focus is going to be on the larger corporations that have repeat business.
So, I mean, when you look at companies like BAL and Wolfstorf, they're spending millions of dollars creating their own unique software using Salesforce and creating their own system from scratch. Is that what Vialto is it Vialto Partners at the V?
It's with a V like Victoria. It stands for via, which means the path or the way, and alto, which refers to altitude. So I like to think of it as the high road to immigration. But yes, we have our own proprietary technology. We're spending millions and millions of dollars to continue to evolve that technology.
It's interesting. This private equity firm is getting involved into this. In addition to immigration law and marketing and stuff I like to study, I also study different business kind of stuff. And there's this one business methodology that in the last couple of years people are doing, which is going to, for example, single dentist shops and buying up 10 and packaging it into one. So it's like one company. They're doing it with mobile home places right now, buying mom and pop mobile home shops and making it to one corporation and packaging it up and reselling it and stuff like that. Law has always been hard because that has the non-lawyer partnership situation. You can't do it. But I always thought there's like so many small and sole practitioners. If there was a way to analyze them, congregate them into one package, they could really become a big firm. But each one is so different, and it might be unreliable to rely on any particular solo practitioners because you don't know how well they do it and how well they access information. That it was like something I didn't think it was doable. But that's when I guess people who are doing small one-on-one marriage cases and stuff like that. But if you're able to get the corporate aspect that you're doing, you don't need to swallow a bunch of law firms. The technology will help you do it. I'm just thinking out loud about the process where private equity is getting involved in some way in the immigration game and business, and how they're doing is very interesting using tech and then not partnering up, but associating closely with the law firms to help to do it. It's very interesting.
Well, there are a number of instances, aside from what's happened in my situation, where organizations that have acquired technology or developed technology that is useful for the delivery of immigration legal services, but they either have lawyers on staff or they have arrangements with lawyers to provide the legal advice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you're aware that the State Bar of California has been looking at alternative service providers because there is a perception, I think accurately, that many people need legal services, and the current system is not fully responsive to that need.
For sure, for sure. So, it's a big endeavor for you to all of a sudden scale your firm up with this many employees. And I'm in the process of hiring like one-off person every once in a while, and it's like a big thing. So I want to get into how you're handling that and the pressure and the complications that come with that level of scaling. But something you mentioned at the beginning is with regards to involvement in cases. A person in your position, you're a partner. A lot of people will ask, "Hey, can I talk to Angelo? Can I talk to Angelo?" But you have a million different things to do. How did how do you deal with that? Give that work off to associates, but have the client touch. How do you deal with that issue of everyone want to talk with you when there's only so much for you to go around?
Well, I try to make myself available as best I can, but you're right that this is not a 24/7 worker, that I'd have to get some rest and relaxation and family time as well. Essentially, what we have tried to do is to demonstrate that we offer team-based legal services, and that the need that the client has will be addressed by members of the team. One of the things that is very attractive is that we have created task-based calendars where a group of lawyers working for us, let's say a single client or a small group of clients, will open up their calendar and they will see the tasks that the group needs to perform. And there will be a delineation of responsibilities, but ultimately it's the group's responsibility to make sure that everyone's legal concerns are addressed. And where that comes in, and I think it's a differentiating factor, is I had my own boutique practice before, and usually if I wanted to take a vacation, it was rush,
Yeah.
try to get as much done before I go on vacation, but then expect when I come back from the vacation, a deluge of backlog requests for answers to questions, legal services. And with a task-based team approach to the assignment of responsibilities, that is reduced. So you can really have a quality of life vacation and not have to worry that you're going to be flooded for the next 2 to 3 weeks upon your return with digging out from under backlog issues. And so in terms of how we deal with things, we have subject matter experts on particular issues. We have teams of lawyers that focus on, let's say, the new PERM rule that requires filing in a different format under the FLAG system, where labor certifications are filed under a different set of questions that are posed. They're linked to the prevailing wage request. All of that is something that we evolve together collectively. And I try to bring to bear whatever knowledge or experience I have and insights, but so too to other lawyers. And what I'm finding is that there is a type of lawyer that is very interested in capitalizing upon technology and reducing the tedium of law practice, so that what can be done is to respond to the individuals and to focus upon the employee experience, and imagine that this is an employee who's making a profound undertaking. They're risking leaving their home country and coming to the United States, and they may have a spouse and they may have children who need to be educated. And all of those things are stressful. And we know with the visa backlog that there can be year upon year of delay in forward action on getting a green card, for example, and the need to do multiple extensions of employment authorization for people. All of this can be a tremendous stress. So to the degree you can have lawyers more accessible because the tedium element is reduced. That's why we think we can offer something new and different.
That's really neat. And how are you going to go through the hiring process to all of a sudden get, is it having a lawyer on a team is a expensive proposition because each one costs a lot of money and have so much responsibility, and they could burn their ship down. That's that much. Each person.
That's true.
So, how are you dealing with that aspect of
Well,
expansion?
I mean, when you're part of, when you have an affiliation with a large organization that has professionals dedicated to the human resource function, to the training function, to the onboarding process, and you have a better sense of these people are going to be welcomed into the fold with some thoughtfulness and not just dropped into the middle of a corporate client relationship with no preparation. There is an orientation process, but there's also a mentoring rule where we assign mentors to each new person coming in. And so there's a way to ask questions, a way to get guidance, a way to feel comfortable, and gradually to demonstrate your talents.
That mentoring is so important. So many law firms I've seen in just all of law, but even in immigration, is they just pluck someone out, drop them in, and they're like sink or swim. And it's a weird way to bring an associate on the team and to like have success and not train him, not mentor him, to just say, do it and figure it out. It always shocks me when people tell me that that's how they learn, which is pretty frequent. You really need someone there to, smooth things over. Why not fast forwards to everything? So that's great, but it's just more responsibility for you to do along with all these other things. So your schedule is packed. I'm glad you got that vacation in France, especially before the riots kicked in. Perfect timing.
Yes, it was perfect timing.
And so,
well,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say when lawyers are faced with that sink or swim approach within the firm, it's time to reach out, and organizations like AILA can provide a wealth of support for issues of ethics, practice management, substantive law, and also developing one's own cadre of trusted colleagues where you don't necessarily reveal client names. You don't reveal client names, but you reveal factual scenarios and you ask, how would you deal with this? Because if you don't have the resource in the firm, the ethics rules say that a lawyer can only practice if they are competent to do so, and they can gain competence by aligning with lawyers who are competent. And so it takes a village, as they say.
Yeah, what really helped me when I started is when I was a practicing immigration law for 2 years before I joined AILA, and then I got active in the local chapter, and I met a lot of friends. And it became so easy just to email them and say, hey, what is this? What is this? And, it's not embarrassing. It's a small group. It's not the listserv where everyone can see it. And because they're friends, they'll answer it. And you're not as worried about, obviously, again, you don't reveal the client's name, but it's a little more open when you have discussion with them about the facts than you can in a very public forum. So that's really key, just to join as many of these groups as possible to develop one-on-one relationships on this. Now, I have a question.
I would also suggest there's another way to do it, and some people call it a mastermind group. Some people call it a brain trust. But I started something like that 20 years ago, the Alliance of Business Immigration Lawyers. When I left a big law firm and started my own boutique immigration practice, I felt that my team members were reluctant to give me the straight scoop, and that there were issues of management and consequence to that management that were beyond my scope. And so I identified some people who I thought were high caliber lawyers from around the country, and we formed a group. And there's nothing to stop anyone else from doing the same thing. Identify your contemporaries and meet regularly. Nothing like face-to-face. Zoom and Teams are great, but nothing like getting together, turning off the cell phones, putting away the laptop, and just brain trusting together. And eventually, there'll be a crisis situation that arises like COVID-19, where you've got a pre-existing group of people where there's been trust built up. we're competitors, but we're also colleagues and collaborators.
Now, the group that you're talking about, I discovered early on. I was practicing and researching groups and stuff, and it was actually a list of people I want to interview. It was for my podcast. I was like, oh, it's a go-to list of the who's who of the big players in the immigration game. I've been trying to create this kind of group for these kind of groups for like long time, years. It's been almost impossible, other than one person here, one person there, because everyone's too busy or too caught up. What was the secret sauce to be able to get these people? Because everyone in the group is like the big firms and very powerful immigration lawyers. How were you able to get it together? It's like herding cats, as they say about the U.S. Senate. How do you get all these people together?
Well, 20 years ago, in anticipation of an annual conference of AILA in Chicago, I have a friend who is a law practice management consultant, and he had written a book on law practice management, and he himself had started what he would call roundtables. They were targeted toward very big firms, but the concept of a roundtable is something that is familiar. If you've heard of an organization called Vistage, Vistage, Vistage used to be tech, and TEC were the letters, and it stood for the executive committee. Well, this was would have a facilitator and bring together people who were CEOs and structure the experience. So we basically modeled ourselves after this, and so I invited as many people as I could think of, and the list was, if I recall correctly, 35 people to come together for a dinner that didn't conflict with other events of AILA. And you'll get a free book, and we'll talk about forming an organization that would be a self-help organization. And that's what we did. We got, I think, 9 people, maybe, but we just built it from there. And I think if you can put together 5 or 6 who have similar backgrounds in terms of what they practice, so that there's something in common to discuss, you could do it. But there has to be a magnet event, and that's how I do it.
I think, Chicago is next year, and maybe the next generation is going to pop up at this event. So you both said it'd be great to come to.
There's room for everyone. This is a big field.
Definitely. I have so many subgroups I identified that I really want to create. Like, there's so many immigration lawyers now who have I'm sure how much more time you have, but I keep talking with you. But let me know if you got to go. But there's a lot of immigration lawyers, for example, who work as part of non-immigration law firms, or like an aspect of it, and they have their own unique difficulties I've come to realize from interviewing them, talking with them. I always wanted to like kind of get them into a group together, so they can share the ideas that they have. There's people that are solo and they want to grow. There's the aspect there. There's another aspect of immigration lawyers who do side stuff too, like Ruby Powers does law practice management. There's like I've been talking with her recently a lot. There's 4 or 5 of us that practice immigration law, but we have these side immigration law careers that are business management or marketing or my like trade stuff. And so getting us together to talk about how do we take this knowledge we have and use it in a different non B2C business to consumer base, but to business base, help other immigration lawyers. So I have a toolbox. I want to make this system all these varying groups, but we need discussion leaders. We need all this kind of stuff, and I need more time and just people to help me with it. But I think there's just so much opportunity there that can help everyone grow. That's just fascinating. It's like a field of great dirt that's ready to have deep roots grow in it with any kind of fruit, vegetable that you want that hasn't been done yet in the immigration field. It's right for the picking.
Well, I agree with, there are a number of subgroups within the field of immigration law where you could aggregate persons of like mind. And essentially, there has to be credibility to begin with, and I think you have that credibility for what the good work you've been doing. With 1 or 2 other people of equally good reputation and say, let's tag team this, and let's start with one group first, and then let's go to another group. If you try to do them all at the same time, it won't happen. It's got to be focused.
For sure. But that's some homework I have until the next AILA event. Now, you have a blog. I want you to mention how to find the blog and let us know what other ways. I know you use Twitter. You have the blog. What other ways can people contact you if they want to reach out?
Well, I mean, the blog is probably the best way, and it's called Nation of Immigrators, ORS, immigrators.com. It's been around since 2004. There is a contact form right there. Um, if you're an AILA member, you can find my email address just by going online and looking for it. I'm not really hiding under a bushel basket. People can find me. They can reach out through LinkedIn as well, or Twitter or Threads, and I'm accessible. I do try to see if I can add value to the conversation, and if I don't think I can, I usually will give people some names of others who should be contacted, always with the statement that you, the individual, must make sure there's chemistry and rapport and you feel confident and comfortable with the person, and make your own independent judgment, because the notion of selecting a particular lawyer, it's a very intimate engagement, and it really has to fit right.
Now, I have one more question. If you want to discuss anything else, let me know. When it comes to hiring for a new firm, because you need to expand, I told me, you said now that you're looking for people so they can reach out. What job history description, what kind of people are you looking for? People have 10 years experience, people have a lot of EB-5 experience. Are there any things that in particular that you're looking for?
Sure. Well, I would say there are probably at least three different levels of expertise. Um, Entry-level lawyers who've been practicing from 2 to 5 years in immigration. There's great opportunity because oftentimes they're very, very comfortable with technology, and they embrace the idea of labor-saving devices. And then we need managing attorneys who maybe have 5+ years. If someone is a partner in a firm, that would have to be a different economic proposition to see whether there was a fit, because a partner typically comes with clients, and there'd have to be conflicts checked. There have to be a decision made that the practice is compatible with the business model that we have. And so that's a little bit more of an extended, prolonged conversation. But in terms of lawyers with 2 to 5 years or 5+ years, maybe up to 10 years of experience, who are embracing the vision and think that they would like to be on the ground floor of something big and exciting, reach out to me.
Definitely. Well, Angelo, thanks so much for coming on the show again. I really appreciate it. We'll probably talk next year and get an update on all the growth and all the great things that have happened.
Well, we keep doing this, and as long as you continue to morph and I continue to morph, we'll have more interesting conversations.
For sure. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the show. Stick around for a minute or two, but say goodbye to everyone watching. Angelo's a great guy, great mentor, and just reading your stuff alone is really helpful for everyone doing this stuff, really thought-provoking stuff, especially when it comes to nitty-gritty of law and the complexity of immigration law, where it's like there's no answers to a lot of stuff. You do a great job arguing both sides of it so people get a better understanding. What is unauthorized employment? That question that is such a frustrating issue because the agencies have no idea, no one knows. But stuff like that, that you do a great job really going into depth and detail with case law as well. Thanks for coming on the show, Angelo.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Have you ever felt that the road to establishing a successful immigration law firm is riddled with unexpected obstacles and setbacks? I've been there, and I'm here to tell you, you are not alone. Picture this. My wife, then girlfriend, and I had just landed for a vacation, only to be greeted by a voicemail that changed everything. In an instant, once the plane landed, she lost her job. The very one job that was supposed to support us while I launched my own solo immigration law firm. Suddenly, our financial cushion vanished, and I was thrust into the high-stakes world of entrepreneurship with no safety net. Despite a slow start and a discouraging lack of leads and referrals, I remained determined to build a law firm that provided a 5-star client experience. After countless hours spent researching, watching, and implementing marketing strategies with mixed results, I eventually began to see my firm's revenues not only surpass my previous revenue and salary as an associate, but double it. Today, I run a successful law firm with a team of associates and support staff, and I'm the proud founder of the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox magazine, podcasts, courses, workshops, and more. But my journey wasn't easy. I made many mistakes, wasted time and money, and wished I had a mentor to guide me through the challenges. Although I was fortunate enough to find a few peers who offered support, I couldn't shake the feeling that there had to be a better way. That's why I decided to be the change I'd wish I'd seen. This month, I'm thrilled to announce the launch of the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox private mentorship and peer group. This exclusive group is designed to bring solo and small firm practitioners in a monthly, private, and intimate setting to openly discuss business strategies, share successes, even exchange invaluable tactics that they wouldn't share anywhere else. By joining this premium group, you'll not only benefit from my hard-earned expertise, but also forging long-lasting relationships with like-minded professionals who are committed to elevating their practices. Space is limited for this game-changing opportunity. If you're ready to make a real, lasting impact on your business, simply email me at info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. Again, that's info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. And I'll send you all the information you need to get started. Don't miss this chance to transform your immigration law firm and reach new heights of success.